check the panel lights inside the R44. I come to the rear. There's all these buttons here to check the lights. So if I push the main rotor temp, you see the main rotor temp light comes on, main rotor chip, engine fire, tail rotor chip. Low fuel will take a second to come on because of sloshing in the fuel tank. You don't want it coming on all the time when you get close. And last is the fuel filter. Once those lights are checked, turn the power off and can continue with the checks. After checking the lights, come back and open up the panels. Gonna look inside at the engine. As you can tell, this is a brand new engine, so it's looking pretty darn good. Not much to check. Looking for cracks, looking for anything different. Looking down in the pan there, making sure everything's attached. Inside this panel, I'm going to drain the fuel, 1, 2, as well as underneath right here. I'm going to drain those 3 fuel drains, see if there's make sure there's good fuel and no contaminants. In this panel, after draining the fuel, I'm going to check a few things. I'm going to be checking the transmission pucks here. There's another 2 on that side over here. I'm checking the teletemps. It's hard to reach in here. 1 here, and there's 1 above. Checking the main rotor, the main transmission fluid level. I'm parked on a bit of a slant right here, so it's not accurate. Usually you want to be on a flat level ground when you're checking it. And I'm checking the hoses. I'm gonna move this push-pull tube, see if there's any restriction going to the tail rotor. Checking the hydraulic fluids. And I'm gonna check this plate in here for any cracking. Then to check the main rotor and the mast, I step here, and then here on this part, because if I step on the aluminum, it's just gonna dent. And then I get up top to do an inspection up there. All right, I made my way up to the top here. I'm gonna check the blades, make sure they haven't been bumped. I'm checking the boots, make sure they're not leaking. Check these pucks inside here, make sure no one's bumped them. Checking the main nuts, cotter pins. After stepping down from the top, I'm gonna secure all the doors. Make sure they're latched. I'm gonna check the fuel cap, make sure it's on tight and the marks line up. I'm gonna check the static port, make sure it's clear. I'm gonna come to the back to this access door. Once I get to this compartment, I'm going to be checking in the oil cooler, make sure there's nothing obstructing in there. I'm gonna be checking the belts, make sure they have the appropriate amount of slack. You don't want them too tight, not too loose. I think it's about 1.5 inches of movement you want in them. I'm gonna check the teletemp, which is right there. And then I'm gonna come back, check this flex plate back here. I like to flick them, hear what they sound like. You know, if they're cracked, you won't hear that same noise. And then I'm also going to be checking the bolts that hold on the tail, 1, 2, 3, 4, and check for the pal nuts, make sure everything is secure. Once that door is secured, I'm going to come to the tail section here, look inside the squirrel cage. It's hard to see here, but there's a nut in there, and you want to make sure that that wire is in line with the marks beside it. Let's see if I can get you in there. Yeah, it looks good. From the squirrel cage, I'm going to go down and underneath the helicopter. Look underneath the skin condition, see if there's any bumps from when you landed off strip. And then look up. I like to check the starter. Check those teeth, make sure they're good. Check the teeth on the main gear for any abnormalities, any cracks, any leaks. You will see any major leaks underneath. Of course, you're going to have some drops from the bypass, and if you're running your air conditioning in the summer, you'll get some moisture underneath, but other than that, it should be pretty clear. And I'm making my way down the tail. I'm going to be tapping on it. You'll hear what it sounds like. You don't want to have any dents, scratches, as the strength of the tail is by that skin, by the monocoque design, so you can't have any weaknesses in that tail. As I approach the tail, I'm going to be looking for a few things. I'm going to run my hand down along and underneath the stinger there, see if anyone's dragged the tail. I'm hopping in a lot of clients' helicopters these days, and I don't know what they've been doing with it, so I do a very thorough walk around. I grab the horizontal stabilizer, give it a shake. When I get to the rear of the helicopter, checking the tail rotor blades, looking for any abnormalities, looking for any cracking in the skin, any problems. We gotta check both sides. And I'm looking at the fluid level in the tail rotor gearbox. I'm parked slightly tail up right now, so that's still lots, but usually it's more than that. I'm gonna check that there's freedom in the linkage. I'm gonna check the pitch links. This is brand new, so there's very little play. And then up the tail the other way. Check the beacon. Check the fuel cap on this side, and then into the engine compartment. In the engine compartment, I'm going to check the battery, make sure that everything's secure. Looking at that fuel filter, make sure it's on and tight. Now I'm going to check my oil. When I check the oil, I don't always take it out. Most of the time I can just undo it and lift it up. And you can see where the line is. Might be hard on the camera to see there, but we're right at 7. Check the belts on the air conditioner. We'll be using it today. It's pretty frosty. And then I'm also going to be checking the engine and pucks on the transmission to the engine. I'll check the engine mounts. Check the magnetos. And checking the pan on the ground there to see if there's any leaks. And after checking the engine compartment and buttoning it up, while I'm here, I'll check that static port, make sure it's clear. Check the pitot tube is unobstructed. Check the doors are shut. And I check these little pins to make sure that they're secured, and I check those on both sides. At the front of the helicopter, I check out the landing lights. Make sure these highly specialized strings are in good condition. And make sure, again, everything's all buttoned up. And that concludes the pre-flight inspection of the R-44 helicopter. I hope you found it helpful. Hope you found it useful. And feel free to leave some comments if there's anything that you do differently or anything you suggest, or if there's anything that helped you out. Take care. Time to go flying.